starts from there. Now, as an applicant, as a student, you have no idea what's going on. Your schools don't tell you how to apply. Some of them might, if in that case they're a very good school. But your schools won't let you know kind of how to apply to this. They won't let you know anything. And it's up to you to kind of see, okay, how do I get in? But that's what we're here for. We've come in today to start off your journey to medicine and dentistry. Now, we're going to take you through the whole application process. This will be a brief overview of everything. And closer to the time of every hurdle, we'll be doing webinars to kind of assess everything. So, for example, if you guys are year 12, we'll be doing UCAT webinars close to, in the next few weeks, which will help you for that as well. So, okay, let's get started then. Okay, so what is Medentors? Now, we're a company who are obviously, as you can see here, we're made of doctors, dentists, and top scoring mentors. Now, we're mentors who are here to guide you. As I've already said, and I'll keep reiterating, we're here to help you with your potentials. Okay, now whatever that may be, whether that means tuition, whether that means academic tuition, whether that means getting through all the different hurdles, and whether that means coming to your schools, we do everything. And hopefully by the end of the session, you'll feel a lot more comfortable on kind of the whole application process as a whole and how we can help you. Okay. So as you will see later on, we've brought in a couple of our past students to kind of have a talk about, what we've done for them. But we've taught over 1,200 students across the country. Now, we've done that, and on top of that, 95% of our students do get medical and dental offers. Now, that's 4 times the national average. That makes us one of the most trusted institutions which help with admissions processes. And we've come here to kind of, we've been in your shoes. We know how stressful it gets. And to be honest, it does get stressful. Now, whether you're in year 12 and you're applying, whether you're in year 13, sitting your A level, sitting that final hurdle, or whether you're in year 11 and have no idea what you want to do, we're here for that. And of course, any questions you may have, a lot of you have come from the WhatsApp community. You can go ahead and ask them. There's people all across the country there, people who are in every single medical and dental school on that community, people who are there to help you no matter what your question is, and to clear up any sort of misinformation out there. Now, as many of you may know, this year is a big change to the application process. This is more targeted towards year 12s. This is very big for you guys. If you're in year 12 right now, this is a big change because the UCAT, which we'll speak about later, the UCAT will have gotten rid of a section. Your personal statement would have changed. There's so many different things that universities are in kind of gray areas, and the students are in that gray area as well. They don't know what's going on. So we're going to be there to help guide you in every single step. Okay, Kareem. Okay. Now I just gave you a little bit of a glimpse. I shouldn't have. So I'm going to ask you guys a question in the chat, and I want you to all say it here. Whether you're applying to medicine, whether you're applying to dentistry, how many applicants do you think there are? Both for medicine and dentistry. How many applicants? So I'll just put it in the chat. What do you guys think? How many medical and dental applicants do you think there are? Okay. Anything else? I know 50,000. We got 10,000. We got 30,000. We got everything, every single number. Definitely more dentistry and medicine applicants. That's interesting. Okay. Any number? 120K. 100. That's a big number. Yeah, it's a big number. Okay. Should we reveal it? Let's reveal it. How many are there? Oh, yeah. Insane, right? 23,000 applicants for medicine, 9,000 applicants for dentistry. However, even though there's so many less for dentistry, if you look at the ratios of the applicants to places, dentistry is 8-1, whereas medicine is 3-1. So there's 70 people here. Okay. If you're applying to medicine, if everyone in the school is applying to medicine, approximately, a third of you will get in. At least that's the national average. But what we aim to do here at Medentors is we want to make sure that all of you get in. So we beat the national average and we tell them it's not 3-1. It's not 3-1, it's 2-1, or even 1-1. Okay? And that's what we're here for. And obviously this process varies. Now, standard a standard procedure is you achieve 3 A's, maybe 8 AB, maybe A star 8A, around that, okay, for A levels. And for GCSEs, you have decent GCSEs. Sixes and over, generally, you can apply to medicine and dentistry. Um, and that's the thing that is really big here that you guys need to realize, no matter how early you are in the application, whether you're in year 10, whether in year 11, year 12, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how badly you think you've done. Doesn't matter whether, one hurdle you flunked and then one hurdle you did really good at. The thing is, every university is different. So wherever you are, whatever your conditions are, there's probably a medical or dental school that you can apply to strategically. So we're here to ensure that you have that strategic application. A lot of people, they don't realize this. They apply to the top universities, okay? Uh, and they get rejected pre-interview because they don't have the grades necessary for that, right? Whereas the people who play it smarter realize that, okay, you're going to get the same medical and dental offer no matter where you are. You're going to get the same degree no matter where you are, okay? And you will be competing with those people at the top universities no matter what, okay? You have the same exact degree. So those people will apply to universities that they have more of a chance of getting into. And those are the people that will get the offers. So that's one thing about this application process. Now, the reason we put this in here is we want to give you that sense of urgency. Yes, yes, that is very competitive to get in, but it's also very doable. It's very doable. Now, it's just about having the right information. Do we know the right things? Okay. Do I know about the UCAT? Okay. Can I do the UCAT? Do I know what GCSEs I need? Do I know what A levels I need? Having the right information and kind of having that pathway, that journey embedded in you early is all that matters. And that's how you're going to get into medicine and dentistry. Okay. Now, I've talked a lot about this. Now, just read the slides. Um, we're here for everything. Now, a lot of you might have seen on social media. Now, that's going to be updated frequently on tips and tricks all the way across the application process. We have interactive webinars like this, which are free for you for every stage of the application. And we have the online community, which you guys really need to make use of. The reason I say that is because a lot of the people who have gotten into medical and dental schools, they know exactly how they, what they did to get into that medical school. So if you ask those questions, you're going to get those tips that no one else has. You're going to get people who are in your shoes, and that's what you need. You need people who have been in your shoes, who know the stress, who know the struggle, and those people are going to be the ones that help you. Okay? So get those connections, get that network. We're here for you. We'll be there answering questions. People in our community, people in our team will be there answering questions. And you guys can help each other because the reality is that 3-1 ratio, that 8-1 ratio is nothing. It's nothing compared to people who have those connections, who have that network and help each other. That ratio can really, really, really change for you guys. Change the probabilities in your favor. That's what we're here for. Okay? Anything to add to that, Mufti? How we can help?
Yeah, just one more thing I would add to this is that Medentors is an ever-growing community. What we do over here is set up opportunities for you guys, but once you guys have gone through that process, which I'm confident the majority of you hopefully will, once you guys have been through all of this, there are opportunities to work within the team, join us as ambassadors, get us into contact with your school, and really help us reach every single medical and dental applicant in the UK. That's our end goal, and abroad as well. That's our goal. So we want to make this as accessible as possible, provide as much resources as possible, and yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
plenty of opportunities. Okay, guys, right. So a bit of a brainstorm for you guys, and this is kind of a deep question to start off with, but it's important. I really think it's necessary. So if you guys could let me know, why are you guys here? You specifically, why are you in this Zoom meeting? Is it because you saw it online and you were like, oh, this might be interesting? Or it may be because your parents got it from a WhatsApp group and they got referred from someone and you saw it and you're like, wait, my son wants to do medicine and dentistry as well. So just quickly join this. And you don't really want to be here, but you're just here just to learn. Or maybe you haven't done your work experience yet and you're thinking, oh, I need to start applying. I need to know what to do. Or maybe it's something that you don't really know if you really want to do medicine or dentistry, but you're in a place where you're like, a webinar like this would really help me with my motivation to decide what I want to do going forward because it's quite ambiguous with a lot of people. So I'll leave this question out here for you guys. And I actually want to have a bit of a discussion about, why you guys want to do this or why you guys are here. Because I feel like that's one thing we can help with, your motivation. Because whenever you go with anything, the first thing you should go within is your intention to do something and then to begin it. That really makes the start. And that will really make it easy for you because when you get into the career of medicine and dentistry and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't have a good reason for being here in the first place. Then you're stuck into one of the most demanding degrees in the world across the whole country, and you'll be constantly burnt out, have a high workload, realize you don't really have a passion for it, realize that maybe helping people isn't, the closest thing to you. And that's something a lot of people struggle with. So in the comments, guys, right now, can everyone tell me why you guys are here and what your motivation is? And we will have a read through it for you. Okay, really good reflections here. So I can help myself get an idea of medicine. That way I can prepare myself for the journey ahead. Yeah, one of the most important things, I think Ib reiterated this before, is you want to have an idea of what you're getting into. You don't want to throw yourself into your application and hope for the best. I remember in my school, there were so many people who thought they could just enter it and wing it. And those were usually the people who didn't get the offers they wanted in their dream top choice medical dental school. It's because they didn't know what they wanted to do. They had no information to begin with. They thought they could wing it. That's one thing. You want to advice on journeys between medicine and dentistry. And that's one thing as well. One really big thing is people are stuck between medicine and dentistry. I remember some point in my application cycle, I was like, should I do dentistry instead? Like, should I? And I had to arrange work experience towards the end and see, okay, I'm gonna have to take a gap year and redo that. And it was really a question of motivation there for me. So yeah, so I can realize my passion, push me through exams. Yeah, my mom recommended me. Yeah, so on TikTok, wanted help. Yeah, all of these things. And a lot of the things is a lot of people, they already have in mind exactly what they want to do in medicine, like a specific specialty that they want to do. And it's like to get to that route, you need to do a medical degree and you see the long road ahead. It can be quite rewarding, but a lot of the time you feel unable to like reach that unless you pass all of those hurdles. And that's why it's really a good idea to start now and start early. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add, Ibrahim?
Yeah. So one thing about this question, which one of the reasons why we had this, I can see in the chat already so many reflections. The fact that a lot of you can reflect like this already, you're already one step there. Medicine and dentistry is all about reflection. Your whole career will be set forth on reflection, and it starts all the way at the personal statement. That's the first stage at which you'll be sat there reflecting, okay, why am I here? Why do I want to do it? Why am I applying? Right? What's the reason? Well, these reflections are exactly what you need to get into medicine and dentistry, which is exactly what you've been doing here. So to see all these reflections, to see all these things right here, which are very impressive to be honest, from my eyes, I can already tell that a lot of you are going to be very successful applicants. A lot of you want to be reminded that getting in is doable, and I promise you it's doable. The stories that people have, the people that I know, the people that I'm sure Mufti knows and Kareem knows, these are people who have had stories, all the way from rock bottom, realizing, okay, I want to do this, and doing everything possible to get in. And that's what I want to see. I want to see that motivation. I want to see that determination. Because if you have that, that shows that you're dedicated. That shows that you're suitable for a job as strenuous as this. A job and a life of lifelong learning. That's what it shows. Okay? Thank you. I just want to add that.
Okay, I think we can make a move now. Right. And again, we're going to cover some of these key principles when we go onto the personal statement section of this presentation. But just as a little starter, because I always want to start with the motivation before I get into the nitty gritty of UCAT, interview, personal statement, A levels, where to apply, how to apply, all of these things. I always want to start with the motivation. And that's why I want to make these 5 pillars that we've put into this career of medicine very clear from the start. Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is having a career that's always going to academically challenge you. If you feel academics are hard for you to keep up at this stage where you're in sixth form, I'm sorry to say, but is going to ramp up significantly when you get into medical and dental school. There are a lot of complex things you need to know. And one thing I will tell you as someone who's completed first year now and passed is that when you go into medicine and dentistry, it's not like your A levels. There's no mark scheme answer. Every patient is different from someone else. Whenever you're presented with a symptom, there could be multiple reasons for the same symptoms. And it's kind of like a detective puzzle to work out what works best. But one thing you realize is that every patient is different. There's never a blanket treatment for everything. There's never a blanket management pathway for everything. You need to be able to use the knowledge you have from your experience to learn. And that is what lifelong learning is. It's building up experience. It's being a 45-year-old consultant and still learning something new every single day at work. And that if that is something that doesn't resonate with your heart, you're going to find a career of medicine difficult for yourself. Same with dentistry. Resilience and challenges. I feel like that links quite a lot with what I've said before. Problem solving, again, as I mentioned before, it's all a puzzle. Teamwork, leadership, and making a difference. A lot of people, what they don't realize is that when you work within medicine and dentistry, you're going to be exposed with a bunch of different personalities. It's not just within your cohort in med school, it's also within your wider workplace as a doctor. Just because everyone applied for a healthcare role doesn't make them the most extroverted person. It doesn't make them the most outgoing. Sometimes you have to realize that you're going to deal with difficult people on the way in your career. And this has happened with me quite a lot of times as well, is that sometimes you're like, oh, wow, I thought they'd be a doctor. I didn't expect them to kind of act like this. And sometimes it's the stress of the job that really gets to them. But these are things you need to realize early on because you want to sort out with your intention. Okay. Can we move on to the next slide, please?
Right, hello everyone. I'm Kareem. Can you all hear me? It's good. Right, so I'm a dental student. A lot of the time, people are confused. Okay, there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. There's a UCAT, there's the interviews, and you're just like, there's so much. How does it all fit in together? Well, this is the timeline. I'd advise you guys to screenshot this, and essentially, this is the full 2 years. It starts before, and there's also some stuff afterwards. But with your general applications, what you want to do is at the start of year 12 or even earlier, you want to build up your experiences, your achievements, your responsibilities, your volunteering, that sort of stuff, so that you can, when it comes to the personal statement, you can chuck that in there and you can talk about, why you want to do this career and the work experience and link it all together with reflection cycles. And then at the end of year 12, you have something called UCAS exams, or maybe end of years or whatever it is. And these are exams. They're not your real A levels, but they're sort of like mocks in which, they can predict what grades you might get for, the year after. And unis use these to sort of, filter out the applications. So generally, they look for AAA and above in predicted grades, depending on the uni, just like Ibrahim said. So after you do your UCAS exams, when it comes to the summer between year 12 and year 13, you've got the UCAT. The UCAT is this like admissions test. It's sort of like an IQ test. For those of you who might have done like 11 plus, it's a bit similar to that, but it's like a more advanced level. It's got 4 subsections, and we'll talk about that later. Then after you sit your UCAT, you've got September, October to sort of finalize your UCAS application. And for those of you who don't know what UCAS is sort of the central hub where everyone makes their uni applications. So if you're applying for computer science, medicine, dentistry, finance, maths, music, whatever it is, you make your application there and you send it off to the unis, and you have 5 choices. Now, in medicine and dentistry, you can only choose 4 choices, and that's because your fifth choice is sort of like an insurance, sort of like a backup. But also, when you're finalizing your UCAS applications, you put in your grades, your experiences, and you build something up called a personal statement, and that's sort of like a CV. And it's changed this year, and we'll talk about this later. but it's sort of like a CV to highlight your motivation, your experiences, your achievements, that sort of thing. And then when you send it off, you'll get interview invites around November, December, and your interviews last from December to March, depending on what uni it is. So some unis might just have their interviews in December, others might have them across January to March. It really depends, and you have to look at, the uni's website at the specific course when they have their interviews. And when it comes to that, you want to do preparation and practice because many of you might have not done an interview before. And then if you're successful with your interview, and if you're successful with the rest of your application, you have your A levels. And if they give you an offer and they're like, okay, you get a 3A offer, you have to get 3As or above in your A levels in order for you to get into medical or dental school, to have a place. And then after that, after you do your A levels, you come to results day, which is the second Thursday of August for A levels, and you see, okay, have I gotten my grades to get into medicine or dentistry? But this is sort of an overview of the timeline, and I'd recommend you guys to sort of screenshot it, and you can always look back at it. Have you two got anything to add, Mufti or Rahim?
So with this screenshot of the timeline, one thing I want you guys to think about. Remember back to the previous slide where we discussed that 1 in 4 people get into medicine and 1 in 8 people get into dentistry. There are a few hurdles here. As you can see, every single step here really is a hurdle. But some hurdles over here are bigger than others. Some specific steps are a lot more dangerous and they eliminate a lot more of the applications and a lot more of the competition in the first place. Okay. So let's have a look at this. Firstly, you have your UCAT. The UCAT is probably the single biggest hurdle. One or the other. It's probably the single biggest hurdle that cuts the applicants by half. You will have probably 50,000 people, no, probably 60,000 people in the country that apply for medicine and dentistry. But after having to sit the UCAT, unfortunately, a lot of people score really low. In the old metric, if you scored below 2,500, you can still get in, but it's extremely unlikely. There's only a couple unis that would actually take you for that score. If you convert that back, you guys can do the maths. It's divided by 3/4. So half the applicants immediately are cut off at that stage. Then when you get to your interviews, another half immediately is cut off at that stage. It's very, very competitive. For example, those of you that are applying for dentistry, Leeds Dentistry, I'm giving one example, is one of the most competitive dental schools to get into, purely due to the fact that they have such few spaces and places. Like there are 72 places and there are over 1,000 applicants for one dental school. That's nearly a 20-to-1 ratio. That's like a 15-to-1 ratio. And part of the reason is because people don't prepare well enough and early enough for their UCAT, and a lot of people do not prepare well enough for their interviews. However, one thing I'll tell you is that don't be scared by those numbers. I can guarantee everyone in this meeting over here is not one of those statistics. The reason is that those people that get cut off at the UCAT checkpoint or the interview checkpoint are the ones who just didn't prepare, who didn't attend webinars like this, who didn't engage in communities, who didn't ask questions, and who didn't take it upon themselves to be active and ask questions and speak to medical and dental students who are in the position they aspire to be in going into the future. So don't be scared by these statistics. It's all step by step. A lot of us didn't think we'd get in first time, and it turns out you really can. It's about going through things with time. We'll have our students speak towards the end as well to give you a little idea of how they found it as well. Okay, we can move on. Kareem?
So what should you be doing now? If you're in year 12 or below, you should ideally try to find some work experience. I personally did, and I think Mufti as well. We both did medicine and dentistry work experience. So I went and shadowed a DP twice, and I shadowed 2 dentists. And that sort of gave me the idea, okay, if I want to do healthcare, I can narrow it down and I eventually picked dentistry. The point of the work experience is not just to write stuff and your reflections and write what the doctor or dentist is doing. It's really, really to figure out, okay, am I actually interested in this? Do I see myself doing this job for 40, 50 years? And if the answer is no, then you probably shouldn't apply and maybe you should do work experience somewhere else. That's just the truth. And if the answer is yes, okay, well, you can write the stuff that the doctor or dentist has done, and you can see, okay, these are my reflections, and this is what I like. So try to find it early, because you don't want to, try to find work experience a month before the UCAS deadline and have to write all your personal statement reflections and stuff like that. So try to, if you haven't already, start looking now. And it's really hard, but to find work experience, but there's virtual. And what I'd advise is you can ask family and friends. All my work experience, all the ones I did were a friend of a friend of a friend, like third level connections. It was crazy. It was literally a friend asking a favor twice. But yeah, you can also go to your local community center or your school. They might have some alumni, but try to you can find a way, or maybe email a bunch of dental practices or GPs or hospitals, or see if there's any initiatives. And if you find something useful, share it with your friends as well. What I'd also say is get some volunteering and charity work, and look at supercurriculars. What supercurriculars are is like wider reading. Okay, so reading from journals and articles about medicine and dentistry, seeing, what maybe some topics you might be interested in. For example, I was interested in digital dentistry, so I read an article about it. Then I made a presentation and delivered it to my medical society in school. So that reflection cycle, it was useful to put my personal statement. And what I'd say is, especially for the year 12s and the years below, from now, collect a list of achievements. If you want to take an action point from today, collect a list of achievements. It can be bullet points. It doesn't have to be paragraphs and paragraphs, but stuff that you've done, so that you don't have a mind blank when you're writing your personal statement. Okay, I know I've done X, Y, Z, and it will be super helpful. And the last few bullet points here are, don't neglect your A levels, because a lot of our friends or colleagues or people we know may have gotten an offer, may have gotten three, four offers, yeah, with all the statistics, and they fumble their A levels because they got complacent. So make sure that you don't neglect it and you work on it consistently over the 2 years. And don't forget to enjoy yourself as well, because sixth form is a nice time, school is a nice time, you know, uh, to the contrary, which people might believe. Um, and you can always ask your school for any help. And I've noticed in the chat today that a lot of people, there might be outdated school advice. And if that's the case, make sure to use our WhatsApp community. If you're not in it, there's a QR code at the end, but make sure to use it, because you can ask us the questions, and we've got the up-to-date information, and we can help you as well. But yeah, we will be there to help you. Mufti, or have you got anything to add? Right, I'll move on. Okay. After you build up your personal statement and your experiences in the summer between year 12 and year 13, you have the UCAT. Now, I'm not going to talk about this for too much, because we do have a webinar coming up next week or the week after to talk about this. But it is a compulsory admissions exam. It's sort of like the 11 plus, as I mentioned previously. It's got 4 subsections. So it's got 3. One is VR, which is like comprehension and reading. One's decision making, which is like puzzles and, figuring things out. And then one is quantitative, which is maths. And they're each scored out of 900. And then you've got your fourth subsection, which is the SJT. And that's sort of like the ethics. It's like, okay, I see a doctor drinking alcohol and they're treating patients. What do I do? That sort of thing. Now, this UCAT, just one thing to say before I move on. This UCAT is unlike any other exam you've done. It's the hardest, arguably one of the hardest things of the application hurdle. And it's because it's not like a normal exam where you can study for it. You can work and study for it. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, quantity does not specifically correlate with your score, because if you do so much, you will burn out. You will burn out. It's a serious thing. So, and if you do too little and you're inexperienced, you're gonna get a low score. So you want to find that optimum point. We at Medentors, we typically say 6 to 8 weeks of preparation. And you sort of build it up every 2 weeks. And the last 2 weeks, you'll be doing mocks every other day or maybe every day. Depends on what you like. But we will talk about this more in a future webinar. Ib or Mufti, do you have anything to mention? Right, I will move on. Okay, so the personal statement. A couple of our tips are start early. And what I mean by start early is your school might ask you for a draft if you're in year 12. They might be asking you for when you get back. But the most important thing is a list of achievements. That's what I started off with. Write as much as you can after using those list of achievements and your reflections and using reflection cycles. And we'll have webinars about this in the summer and in our summer program as well, and at the start of next academic year. But the personal statement, a lot of people, describe their work experience. That's not what it's really about. It's about your reflections. It's about, okay, what did the dentist or doctor do? Why was it good? And how have I trained up that skill myself? And you link it like a cycle. And the most important thing is you link it back to yourself because it's called the personal statement for a reason. It's personal to you, and you don't want to, you want to stand out, you want to be unique, you don't want to copy what your friend or what your peer is saying, or maybe along the lines of, I want to help patients or I want to help people, because that's something that everyone says. And if that's your reason, fair enough. But you do want to stand out. You want to have someone who reads the personal statement and is like, wow, this is unique. And those are a collection of things. So your experience, supercurricular research, responsibilities, hobbies and interests. Hobbies and interests is an important one, because a lot of people they think, okay, the personal statement is like a CV. I need to put all like my achievements in there. They also want to see you've got a work-life balance. They want to see you sort of have a life outside of medicine and dentistry and academia. So if you've got a hobby, it's nice to mention in there as well. And make it personal. And the other thing we advise as well is ask for feedback. I probably had 60 people critique my personal statement until I got the final draft, and it was worth it. Mufti, have you got anything to add?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things I'm going to add is let's have a look at exactly what you need. The personal statement, by the way, we'll have a whole webinar where we go through the structure of what things you need from start to finish, like what skills like empathy, teamwork, communication, reflections, extracurriculars, supercurriculars, and that. However, one thing a lot of people get tripped up with, I want you guys to recognize this early and not fall into this trap. There's a difference between extracurriculars and supercurriculars. And I saw like something in the comments section as well about that. So your extracurriculars are things you do outside of work. Like you play football with your friends, you do maybe boxing, MMA, you play a piano, play an instrument, you maybe like to bake, you like to cook, you like to do arts, you maybe do public speaking. These are your extracurriculars. This is what you do in your spare time. The importance of extracurriculars is that your extracurriculars show that you can manage your work-life balance. You can manage yourself as a person. They don't want an academically minded person who goes straight forward with the work and just does everything that's needed, like medical wise. They want someone who has a life outside of medicine. Why? Because if you guys read up reports, the most burnt out doctors, the most burnt out dentists, the most burnt out healthcare professionals in general are the ones who become workaholics. They get into the mindset is that I spent so much time getting into this career, I'm just going to make that my whole personality. I'm just going to do work after work and after work. And they want to see someone who doesn't burn out, because that's what the strikes you may be seeing on the news related to junior doctors are all about. It's because people can't manage their work life. So they want to see that you play sports, that you play the piano, that you do instruments, that you do things outside of work, that you have leadership programs, that you have a social life. They want to see that. So people are asking where you want to include that and how much you want to talk about it in your personal statement. You usually talk about it towards the end, and you usually link it back to, I understand that a career in medicine is difficult because there's a lot of burnout and this is the statistics and blah, 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 blah. Therefore, I have this work-life balance and so on and so forth. That's how you should link it with your personal statement. Supercurriculars, on the other hand, is something completely different. Supercurriculars is what wider reading outside of your A-level specification have you done into this career. I'll give you guys some examples. Kareem applied for dentistry and he spoke about CAD/CAM technology that he saw in his work experience, which is essentially a form of DT and mirror imaging sort of thing in dentistry. I don't know too much about it, but it's something he saw in his work experience. He said, "Hang on a minute, this is interesting. Let me read about this." So he read about it, and he found something interesting about it. And maybe he may have presented it somewhere, like at a MedSoc, at a group, at any sort of webinar, and he took that as a reflection and said that me going out of my way to see something interesting I saw in my work experience, reading about it, learning about it, presenting it, teaching it to others, making awareness about it, that is a super curricular. That shows your wider interest in medicine. Every single one of you in this meeting right now who are applying for medicine and dentistry in year 12, or ideally at the start of year 12. So for those of you who are like younger from below like year 11, 10, 9, well, don't worry too much about this. But all of the year 12s right now, if you haven't already done this, find a niche topic within medicine or dentistry. I did obesity, I did smoking, and I did something to do with like mechanism of drugs, right? I did these 3 topics. What I did is I researched them. I went into medical articles. I went onto Google Scholar. You guys have ChatGPT these days, so just go ahead, do that. Ask it about specific interesting medical topics. Read into it. Then ask your school MedSoc teacher if you can present. If your school doesn't have a MedSoc, don't worry, we will soon. We're opening it like the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And you will have an opportunity to present. When you present, you do your research, you do your wider reading, you put that in your personal statement. That's almost a must for your personal statements. The thing that really shocks me is people in year 13 somehow have managed to get an interview and they haven't done any sort of wider reading. This is a common interview question. I'll go into this in a bit, but you can get asked about this. So every single one of you needs to pick a specific topic that interests you. It can be obesity, smoking. It can be like for dentistry, it can be fluoride. It can be different toothpaste. It can be private versus NHS dentistry. It can be anything. Pick something that interests you, read into it, present it. And yeah, that is what I had to say about the difference between extracurriculars and supercurriculars.
Thank you, Mufti. Right. So, oh, right. So, do you want to move on, Mufti?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, is this the right slides? Could you screen share from the camera?
Sorry, guys. Just bear with us for a second.
If you guys have any questions, by the way, you can leave them over here at the bottom. We can get back to it because there's going to be a huge Q&A at the end. But generally, any questions, we would look into it. Within EPQ, by the way, I've seen a lot of people ask, for medicine, you do not need an EPQ. It's not going to benefit your application in any way. It's not going to get you into medical school. There are only 2 medical schools that favorably look at it, and that is Sheffield and Leicester. They decrease your grade requirement by 1. Imperial technically look at it because they're research heavy, but it's not too big of a deal. With dentistry, it's just Sheffield. However, I personally took an EPQ knowing that I didn't need it. Reason being is because medicine is a research heavy topic for me personally. And when I looked at it, I was like, if I can get the grips of research now, when I get into first year, I can do all these internships. I can do all these research opportunities, strengthen my application. So when I'm actually applying for jobs, no matter where I want to work, it'll be a lot easier for myself to get those specialty posts. Because even though, yes, you will become doctors at the end of the day, getting training is extremely difficult in today's market, and you need to stand out. So having these experiences early from A levels really helped me out with my EPQ. And also it just builds your wider interest into medicine because you can actually present your EPQ and put that into your personal statement that you did it. And you can even talk about it in your interviews. Like it's like a 3-in-1. You can use it for your personal statement, your interviews, and your future career as well. And that really makes you stand out as an applicant.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Mufti, if you want to continue with this slide.
Okay, so as I was saying, to continue onward, you've done your mocks in year 12, your UCAS exams. You've done your UCAT. You've taken your UCAT, you've got your score, you know what you've done. And now you've also now written out your personal statement. Everything is done. All the pieces are in play. You've done your GCSEs as well. All of your stats are in play. Now you're going to finalize your application. Now you're going to look into where you want to study for the next 5 years after your life. So this is quite big. And this is quite important to see what you can do here. What you need to do here is when you're applying to different medical and dental schools, you need to see and ask yourself these questions. Firstly, first and foremost, the most important things. If you do not apply strategically enough, you will get rejections. You will have wasted all the effort to apply. Okay? That's the first most important thing. So what you need to do is speak to medical and dental students. Our group chat is probably one of the best resources. Just ask on it, can I get into this school with this statistics? And we'll look into it for you. And we'll have webinars on how to apply. Look into it. If you have strong GCSEs, apply to universities that play to strong GCSEs, like Cardiff, Leicester, UOB, King's, and not Newcastle, sorry, and all these other universities, right? Look into universities that look strongly at your GCSEs. If you didn't do so well in your GCSEs, but you did really well on your UCAT, look into universities that place a big emphasis on the UCAT, which you guys are seeing this summer, a lot of you. This is stuff like Bristol, King's, Newcastle, and all of the other universities, okay? Imperial, Oxford, Cambridge, these universities that look at your UCAT, most importantly. If you didn't do so well on all of them, but you're looking at things that look at your experiences a bit more, so universities that look at your personal statement maybe, or look at your work experience or your volunteering, then you want to look into Keele, you want to look into Sunderland, Southampton, these sorts of universities, okay? The information is out there. It's all about deciding. Pick somewhere where you're actually going to get in. Don't just apply to UOB because you're from Birmingham and you want to be able to commute, but your UCAT score is like 2,500 in the old stats, so that's like 1,800 now. And your GCSEs are 7s and 6s. Unless you are avoiding participation, that is going to be very difficult for you. You need to think it through. A lot of people know this quite easily within themselves, okay? They know where to apply and the information is made clear. The next thing you want to do is pick, can I actually see myself studying here for the next 5 years? Don't apply to the middle of nowhere. Like, for example, I wouldn't apply to a university up north like Hull York or something. Nothing against it, but me personally, I'm from Birmingham. I wouldn't really apply there because it's just not realistic for me. It's not something, like in terms of commuting distance, in terms of distance from family, in terms of like the social life, it's like something somewhere where I don't really see myself being. So don't apply just like, oh, it's a safe option. Let's go there. Let's just get in. I don't know if I'll get in next year. There's a very high chance you can get in next year if you play your cards right, but always apply to somewhere where you see yourself being for the next 5 years, because this will shape your personality. This will shape who you are, how you act, the people you interact with, the type of friend group you make. Your time at university shapes you as a person, how good of a doctor you are as well, because some universities, they have different teaching styles. Maybe you learn better from a teaching style of one university and you don't for another. For example, if we look at different university teaching styles, some universities teach by prosection and dissection for the anatomy. For example, some universities like Leicester, you do a full body dissection. You have a dead body out in front of you and you're expected to find the target organs. So when you learn anatomy, you learn via the cadaver, the dead body, and you find the organs yourself. Your anatomy teacher will say, find the organ in of itself. That leads you to be a bit more thought-provoking. It leads you to think a bit more about what you want to do, the anatomy, and it really hones your inner mind. And that's something, if you're interested in surgery or anatomy, that's something that will go forward for you. However, if you are applying to a university where you want to have it more standardized, like UOB, where you're given specific organs in of itself, as in prosection, and then you have to learn from that. You have to learn from that standpoint of, I want to see the organ isolated instead of having to find it. And it just simplifies things a bit more, then it may be better for you, okay? That's one thing. So definitely look into the course, look into the teaching style, look into whether you get early clinical exposure or late clinical exposure. Some universities, like Leicester, for example, they give you late clinical exposure, year 3, 4, and 5. First 2 years, you're just in lectures, whereas some universities like Cardiff, for example, have you in hospitals from day one, have you in wards and placement in clinics. Like Liverpool do this as well for dentistry. Okay, so do take all of these factors into account when you apply. Look into whether it's plausible for you, whether you can actually get in, and whether you see yourself doing this, and if you like the course and the vibe. The best thing to do is ask questions, speak to students. We've got a big community, and I'm sure you will find someone in your desired medical and dental school. Anything to add?
I think let's move on here. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the interviews. Okay, so the interviews is this step. Okay, so this is the point at which everyone gets flushed out the application. This is the point at which you know whether you've gotten the offer or you're gonna have to reapply. Now, how it works is you sent in your UCAS application, start of year 13, okay? Then you'll get emails, either good ones or bad ones, telling you, okay, you've got an interview. This is when the interview is. Come and do it for us. Now, at this point, you're gonna be stressed. This usually happens around, let's say around November, December time to around March time. That's when interviews happen for medicine and dentistry in year 13. And at that time, you need to be on top of it. You need to be on top of everything, whether that's, all these different things that you'll learn about, close to the time. But there's loads of different stations, there's loads of different sections of the interview that you can kind of improve on. Now, there's two main types. You can kind of have a read of the differences between them. But obviously, we're going to do webinars close to the time about this sort of thing. We really recommend that you guys go to it. But MMIs are usually the most common. You barely see panel interviews anymore. So MMIs is the most common. And it's almost like they call it interview speed dating. So every single station in that interview will be something completely different. It might be a role play, or it might be um, they might ask you why did you apply to dentistry? Or it might be, for dentists, for example, they have some manual dexterity. It might be something actually practical to do. So there's so many different stations that you're gonna have to prepare for and make sure that you're good at. Now, don't worry about this until you're closer to the time. It's about getting to this. That's the hard part for a lot of people. So the UCAT, the GCSEs, and the predicted grades is usually the hard part that people really, really struggle with. And a lot of people, once they've gone on the interviews and they've kind of comfortable, they've gone on 3 or 4 interviews, that's the point at which, they feel a lot more comfortable. And obviously it's very stressful, but they have a lot of opportunities to kind of get into medicine or dentistry at that point. But up until, I'd say around October time in year 13, don't worry about the interviews. Make sure you've got your application sorted. Make sure you've got your personal statement sorted. Now, closer to time, we'll talk about this. Okay. Anything you guys want to add?
The interviews in general, as just to reiterate some of the points that Ibrahim was mentioning earlier, is that first thing you should do is really familiarize yourself with the university because they do like to ask questions about that. Also, get a lot of practice by speaking to some of the medical dental students that you know. For example, if I was applying to dentistry, I would speak to a current dental student I know and try to get experience, or maybe a dentist, because you want a strong understanding of the career you want to go into. Now, one thing about interviews that many people mess up is they look too much into the career, not the course. And let me explain to you why. When you go for an interview, what are you trying to get into? You're trying to get into medical school, not becoming a doctor. You're not applying for a foundation post as a doctor. You're trying to get into medical school. So if you speak too much about everything you know and come across as a know-it-all, it's going to come across as someone who thinks they know too much. Whereas in reality, you're a student. They're trying to see how teachable you are when they interview you, to see if you have an understanding of the key topics. And that's why you need to do a lot of reading into how medical school works and the difficulties of that, and answer it from the perspective of someone who wants to be a medical student or a dental student, not someone who wants to be a doctor or a dentist straight away, because they're looking to see whether you can actually go down that pathway first. And that's something that really trips a lot of people up. Yeah, we can continue. This is just a key tip because many people do forget this.
Okay. So at this point, we've done the interviews. We've gotten the hard part, right? We've done the hard part, right? Right, Mufti? We've done the hard part? Do you think
Yeah,
we've done the hard part?
yeah, I think we'll do the
Yeah,
hard part.
yeah, no, no. Okay, so unfortunately, the interviews is not the hard part. So a lot of people, they get complacent. So they finish their UCAT. Oh, you've done the UCAT. Amazingly. You've done amazingly on the personal statement. Great. You've done amazingly on the interview. Great, you've got on the offer. But you failed the A levels. Wait, I failed the A levels. Now what? Well, unfortunately for a lot of those people, even though they had the offer, if they didn't get those grades, they wouldn't have gotten it. And that's the harsh reality of these applications. Now, that is why you need to be on top of it. Unfortunately, you do need to lock in. Okay. Now, all the way from the start, all the way up to the end. do not get complacent because these A levels will be a thing to screw you. And on the reverse side of the things, if you didn't get an offer to medicine or dental school, okay, you've done an interview, for example, and they rejected you, they can put you on a waiting list. So if you do really, really well in your A levels, there's a chance that on that results day, on that fabulous results day, they can call you and say, we've got a place for you. Now, if that happens, you are a very lucky person. But you know what? You deserved it. So do not get complacent no matter what. Smash your A levels, smash your GCSEs, and make sure you do the best possible that you can do. Okay? Anything to add to that, guys? Yeah? Okay, we can move on. Now, Mufti, do you want to take over?
One more thing I want to tell you guys is that we've talked to you about how we've taken students through the application pathway. Okay, we've shown you about our personal experiences as people who have mentored 1,200 plus applicants, and all of our students, 95% of them, medical and dental, got admissions into their top choice medical and dental schools. We've taken you through that whole process and talked about it from our perspective. However, it's been a couple of years since we've been through the process, and I've brought none other than two of our most aspiring, two of our most positive outlooking students who have applied for medicine, one medic and one dentist, to speak about their experiences of how they applied, some advice for you guys because they were in your position literally a couple months ago when they were doing the interviews. So they've been through the whole process. They're in the year above. They're successful. They have 4 out of 4 offers. They've done really well and they've gone to their top choices. And to hear from you, they can also let you know about how you can get involved as a Medental student within the community and join the team as well. Okay, so firstly, we're going to hear from Omar Bashir, our medical student, or applicant, should I say.
Can you hear me, Mohammed?
Yes, I can hear you.
Brilliant. So, hi, I am Omar Bashir, and I'm an aspiring medic in year 13. So, currently, I'm in the midst of my A levels with just 1 week of exams left to go. And today, I'm here to share with you the experiences that I've had personally with Medentors in the past year or so. So, my journey with Medentors began approximately this time last year, so June and July, the position that a lot of you year 12s in this call will be in right now, as I imagine, beginning to prepare for the most notorious and hated UCAT exam. And as you can imagine, a lot of extensive preparation and practice was required. However, my summer holidays didn't turn out to be such a nightmare after all, thanks to strategic advice from the amazing guys at Medentors, which helped save me a lot of time. And hey, I got to enjoy a holiday as well. In the end, I was able to score in the top 92nd percentile, which really boosted my application. And then immediately afterwards, I began to receive one-to-one tailored support for writing my personal statement. So as you can imagine, in the beginning of year 13/end of year 12, it's a time when we are preparing for UCAT and writing personal statements. And so I got the support for both immediately at the same time. And this really helped me polish off my application on a really high note. And in the end, that's what helped me get 4 medical school interview invites. Then came the interview season, which was only a month or two afterwards. And this was perhaps the time when Medentors really helped me the most. Because personally, I'm somebody who really struggled and still does to an extent, to be fair, with verbal communication. So I'm not someone who likes talking. So sitting 4 interviews was always going to be something that I really feared. However, the one-to-one mock interview sessions, the one-to-one tutoring, which Medentors carefully designed to tailor my specific needs, followed by extensive post-interview feedback and support, really helped boost my skills and give me the much-needed confidence for the interviews. And I have to say, they really did force me to work very, very hard, challenging me with very difficult practice questions, awkward timings, lots of hours every weekend, and really pushing me beyond my limits every time we met. But honestly, in the end, it paid off so well. And I think for me, that's what truly signifies a dedicated medical admissions company, a group of individuals who are committed to your success. And in case you're curious, Alhamdulillah, I managed to secure all of my conditional offers in the end, which I was both surprised and very happy about. So that's pretty much it from me. I'll definitely say that I wish Medentors had been around even earlier for me so that I could have benefited from them all the way from the start of my application, right from my GCSEs. But at least I can say that you guys definitely have the opportunity to begin the start of your journeys into medical and dental schools with Medentors right from the start. So therefore, I strongly urge all of you on this call to ensure that you stay in touch with Medentors, make sure that you're in their group chat, take notice of all the updates, and make sure that you take up any opportunities that they offer, because trust me, it's really going to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Omar, for speaking. I don't think he gives himself enough credit for how amazingly he's done. I remember when he first came to us at the start of interview season, he found it really difficult to communicate, and as he mentioned, but the way we do our interviews is that we score out of 120, and he went from like low scores all the way to pushing 100, which is one of our top scores. So he's made an amazing amount of progress, and ultimately secured 4 out of 4 offers at his top choice medical school, which is UOB. Hopefully, we will see him next year. Yeah, so that was great to hear from him. But for those of you who are aspiring dentists, you're now going to hear from Amani, who is our dental school offer holder, talking about her experience with how she came onto Medentors and saw the opportunities we had and really wants to take part in what we did, and also give advice to all of you aspiring dentists about what could help you with your applications, which we'll move on to now. The audio working?
Hi everyone. I want to first
Just give me a moment, guys.
Hi everyone, my name's Amani and I'm a Year 13 student who's got an offer to study dentistry at Newcastle University next year. I want to first say I think it's really good that you guys have all joined this webinar, because I think it shows that you're very proactive and you're already kind of taking steps to better your medical or dental application journey. So before I found Medentors, I was just about beginning my interview preparation, and for me, I was finding it very difficult and definitely a bit stressful, just because I feel like with interviews there's a lot of different sections you need to know, and I was finding it hard to kind of break down these sections into different things. You know, there's hot topics, there's things such as ways to answer, there's role plays that are all just new to someone who's never done anything like this before. So yeah, as I said, I was just finding it really overwhelming with all the different types of things you needed to know. I joined the Medentors WhatsApp community and I saw that they were sending out these free webinars that you could join. So I was very active, you know, I was joining each one, I was taking notes, I was listening, I was asking questions if I didn't understand things, and this was very, very useful and very good just to help develop my knowledge for my interview preparation. And as I said, something I was struggling with was breaking it down into different sections, but these webinars were kind of tailored towards different sections, so kind of did it for me, and it kind of helped my mind focus on different parts of my interview that I could work on every time I joined the webinar. So another thing I did was I paid for the mock MMI service that Medentors offered, and I'd definitely say this was a key thing in my interview preparation journey, just because I feel like, especially with MMIs, you know, it's something none of us have ever really done before. It's completely unfamiliar, it's a new situation that we don't really have much experience in, and I feel like especially with interviews, because it's such a competitive thing and it's the key thing that gets you an offer in med and dent school, having experience beforehand gives you that kind of confidence in your mind to go into your interview and think, okay, I've done this before, it's just another little practice, it's all right. And that was definitely key. So with the mock MMI, it was really good because it was run by kind of first year med and dent students, and obviously really good getting their feedback from them, because at the end of your interview they would give you a big document with all your feedback on, so what went well, what you could have improved on, and you know, I'd constantly refer back to that before my interviews, and I found that was so good, just to be able to have the way you speak from someone else's point of view and have someone else's feedback on the way you present yourself in an interview situation. So I'd say I'd really recommend the mock MMI service when it comes to the time, just because, as I said, getting that confidence is so key for your interviews. So I chose dentistry as a career for a number of reasons. So the first one being definitely a personal experience that I've had within dentistry, and that being through my brother who has autism. So we would attend family appointments together where, you know, I would see the dentist treat me and then completely change the way they speak and approach to my brother. And they, you know, they would use all these different skills that I completely saw this mirror image with the dentist and with myself, because, you know, having a brother with autism, I've had so many experiences where I've used all these skills in speaking and communicating with my brother. So that's when I kind of thought to myself, you know, these are skills that I have, I might as well go into a career where I can use these every day. And after that, I kind of took part in work experience, and this was also a key turning point in my decision to become a dentist and follow that career, just because there's so many different things that I remember seeing on my work experience and so many key highlights that kind of motivated me, got me through my interviews, got me through kind of prepping for the UCAT and all the tough things that we have to do as med and dent applicants, and having these different things that I really enjoyed from my work experience, from my own personal experiences within dentistry, was really key in my decision. Also, just different aspects of the job. So, you know, it's very creative, it's very hands-on. I just loved that part of the job, and it's definitely somewhere I could see, you know, going through 5 hard years of university and then obviously carrying that on for the rest of my life. So I think that's really important when you're picking a career like this. It is something that's very hard and very tough, and it needs to have, you need to have kind of your big reasons why you actually want to do this career to keep on motivating you. So my main tips for medicine and dental applicants is, first of all, starting with the why dentistry, why medicine question. For dentistry specifically, I'd say stay away from the niche thing that everyone's saying, which is, you know, I had braces when I was younger, it made me confident, it made me want to become a dentist. It's very niche, a lot of people are saying it, and it's just not really unique to you. So with your why dentistry, why medicine question, you need to have something that is personal. It needs to be a unique experience. It needs to be that when you're speaking to your interviewer and presenting yourself, they can really see that it is something personal to you, it is something you're passionate about, and it's not something you think is the right thing to say. So it has to just be something that is true, and every word you say has to be meaningful, and it just needs to be able to see that you actually do mean what you're saying and you are passionate about, you know, this very long career that you want to get yourself into. So another key tip I have for medicine and dental applicants is, when it comes around to interview preparation, the main thing you want to be focusing on is speaking your answers out loud. So if that's, you know, in your bedroom, you know, videoing yourself and watching it back, if it's in front of the mirror, if it's FaceTiming your friends and having a quick little mini interview with them, it's just really important to be able to practice saying your answers out loud, because at the end of the day, you know, you may have a Word document with perfectly written out answers to each question, but if you're not someone who can actually sit there and communicate it in a good way and come off as a confident person who will be able to speak to many different patients, that's what you really want to do. You really want to impress your interviewer with your communication skills. So definitely just practice, speaking all your answers out loud and just analysing, you know, am I stuttering loads, am I saying loads of filler words? And yeah, you just want to be a really good communicator in your interview. So the last tip I have for medicine and dental applicants is, honestly, you just have to keep going. So I know it's going to be very tough. You're probably starting your UCAT preparation. It can be very daunting. It seems like a completely new thing that is really, really hard. But I think if you have these key reasons as to why you want to be a dentist, why you want to be a doctor, it just needs to be the reasons that keep motivating you throughout your interview prep, throughout your UCAT preparation, things you maybe saw in your work experience that you think, you know, that is what I want to achieve in my career. You just need to have these good motivators that help keep you going with your journey. And finally, just, I'd say, keep joining the Medentors webinars. Maybe when it comes around to it, I'd really recommend paying for the mock MMI, as I said, and just, yeah, keeping up with the community and asking any questions if you need to, because I think in Medentors there's such a big help network that you can use. So yeah, good luck everyone.
Perfect. I think that was absolutely amazing hearing from Amani. What a student who came not knowing what came before, and then finishing off with application with the Medentors. That was great to see. Kareem, can you mute? You're always guys. Can we ban Kareem, please? Okay. Oh, he's mute. Oh wait, so I'm echoing. I thought it was Kareem does. Why is there echo? Okay, I think it's sorted. Anyways. Oh no, it's come back. Tech support, please help.
It's okay, I can take over.
No, you can't.
Okay. So, fortunately, our tech support isn't working. I think that's someone unmuted. Is it all right? No, it's not.
I think everyone's muted.
Try now.
Okay. Yeah, it works now. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. We had a few technical issues over here. Apologies for that, guys. We're gonna try again now. So as I mentioned before, we've had 2 students who came in not knowing about us and, you know, being nervous applicants, joining our community, getting involved, taking part, learning, securing their offers in their dream university, and now they're going to be going off to study it if they do well in their A levels, hopefully, which they do. So I think this is a great opportunity for you guys also to get involved. Now, I'm going to give you guys some steps how you can get involved. Firstly, we've got a Medentors society opening up. We're opening up medical society and dental society, and we're going to have president, vice president, committee roles, and some of these will be voluntary, some of these will be paid. After you guys have secured your offers and got into medical and dental school, there will be an alumni opportunity for you guys. So that means you guys can be part of the Medentors alumni. Now, if we ever need people for school visits, so this will be location specific. For example, if we're visiting a certain city, which some of our team members are in, and we need someone to bring in to talk to schools, you'll go through a whole interview process, an application process, a CV, a personal statement, all again to be joined the team, because we are having quite a lot of people who are interested in joining our team. And you'll go through the whole process and then be able to help us as tutors, be able to help us as mentors, work in school outreach programs, work in all the different domains that we have, and give back to the community. Because I remember back when I was applying for medical dental school, I saw how complicated it was, how difficult it was, and how the opportunities were like, they weren't really there. And the reason for that was because there's so much misinformation going around, and I was really nervous. But when I applied, I was like, hang on a minute, this wasn't as tough as I thought it was. It really is just step by step by step. Like that slide where we take you through all the different roadmaps of the application process. That's really all it was. So like when I saw that, I was like, hang on a minute, I can make this simple for other people. And that's essentially why we started Medentors. We wanted to make this simple for everyone. We wanted to make it free, accessible, easy. And we wanted to really help support everyone, visit schools, do webinars like this, go to schools, have sessions open, and have a group chat open where you guys can answer questions and really help you guys out. Because at the end of the day, you guys are going to be doctors, you guys are going to be dentists, you're going to be saving lives. And to help someone who's gone through that process meant so much to me. And that's why I've also given you guys the opportunity to join us and do the same. But the catch to that is that you have to get in, and you have to do a CV, you have to do an application, and do interviews to get in for that. But you can work with us as part of the team and be like us presenting. So some of the questions I'm seeing, how do you want to apply? Don't worry, we'll make that clear for you guys later when we open up those posts yet. They're not been quite announced yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So a lot of you guys have different skill sets. So some of you guys may be better at presenting, some of you may be better at writing, making resources. We'll have all of that open for you. Okay, guys? So that is ways in which you guys can get involved and join the team.
Just something to add from my side. I just want to make it clear. This is for students, so not medical or dental. This is for school students who are interested in boosting their personal statement, their interview confidence, their network. So you'll host webinars and you can write articles and that sort of thing. And if there's also an ambassador opportunity to be an ambassador of your school, and we can work together to sort of arrange a visit for Medentors to come into your school.
Okay, right. Now let's have a look at what's coming next. So the purpose of this webinar was to take you from step A to step B, getting in, all the way from your application to results day, getting your offer and your first week of medical or dental school, and taking you through the whole process of what needs to go through. However, there are a lot of hurdles in the way, and 1 hour and 1.5 hours is not enough time to go through every single step of the application process and cover it in detail, which is why we have many UCAT, which is why we have a UCAT webinar coming now, and also a Medentors summer program where we'll go through all the key things you need to know about UCAT, personal statement, and wider reading and whatnot. Everything will be there for you guys. We'll have a webinar open soon. The link will be posted on the group chat, so you guys can join that. And the opportunity is here for you guys to ask questions, get involved, and really keep up to date, and also share this with all of your friends as much as you can as possible. Reason being is because we want to eventually reach out to every single medical and dental applicant in the country and help them with their applications. We want to make it as accessible as possible for as many people, okay? So we're going to be launching our societies soon. So this will be our medical society, our dental society. And for the year 12s and maybe year 11s as well, if you're really good, we'll give you an opportunity to apply for president roles, vice president roles, in which you'll be leading webinars and whatnot, and you'll be presenting specific medical topics. This way you can educate other people in the society about a specific topic you're interested in. For example, in my school's medical society back in 6th form, what I did is I presented on obesity, And I looked into the psychological aspect of it as well. And I looked at it from a biochemical standpoint. Like, for example, what happens in the body when you gain weight, but also the psychological standpoint as to, how patients struggle with putting on weight, how it affects their self-image, and how it affects mental health and society in general. And getting that across to people, I made more people aware of it. So if they ever got asked about it in an interview, or if they ever got asked, what interesting things have you seen in medicine, maybe they could link that back from what they saw from my presentation. And I feel like you guys could do the same with our upcoming societies. So we want to really help each other out. Remember, I know it's competitive to get in, but you really have to help each other out at this point. So it's about uplifting each other. You're more likely going to learn more from each other that way instead of trying to put each other down, because that makes it a bit difficult. That's the whole point of Medentors, I guess. And yeah, so share our WhatsApp community, our resources with everyone. We have a webinar coming up soon, and all the information will be made clear to you guys from there. And if there's anything else you guys want to add, then we can move on to a specific Q&A to finish off.
Yeah. So just to kind of add to this Medental Society. It's not a medical society like as if it was in your school. A lot of your schools will have this. This won't be something like that. This is a nationwide society. This is such a unique opportunity for a personal statement. It's such a unique opportunity for someone in the interviews to speak about. Imagine speaking about running a nationwide society for aspiring medical and dental students. How impressive is that? That's an opportunity that we're willing to give to you guys. This is something that can really help boost your personal statement, really help boost your interviews, and really get you those offers. So honestly, don't miss out on the opportunity. It's there for you. Take it. And that's our biggest tip for you today. Really, for everything from now, whether you're in year 10 or year 12 or whatever it is, take those opportunities early. Take those opportunities when you can. Those are opportunities that will get you in. Those are opportunities that will get you to a dream position, and that's what you need. So really do make sure to do that. And we're here for you. Okay? We're here to mentor you and guide you through every step of the journey. So thank you guys. We're just gonna move on to the Q&A now.